On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the ACC Big Ten Challenge is in the books, and the big winner, Tate.
Is it us?
It's us. Yeah, I think we're the big winner. I don't know. I don't know how it gets any better for.
We're undefeated.
Yeah.
We're the Gonzaga before we played Baylor
right.
of the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
And as you pointed out, our rivals.
Yes.
Hold on. I'm confused. Our teams beat each other's rivals.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. Ohio State beat Duke. You guys beat Michigan last night, beat the brakes off of Michigan last night.
What's going on? I mean, honestly, the takeaway from that game was not even North Carolina related. It was like Michigan
might be in trouble. Yeah.
Football school, though.
Which, by the way, brings me into something else I want to talk about today, which is the fraud power rankings. It is Fraudulent Friday here at the show.
Yes.
And we did not do a show last Friday for Thanksgiving. So it's been 2 weeks. The fraud committee has had a lot to sift through.
And if we did it last week, we would have had some different type of frauds.
Yes.
North Carolina might have been a fraud, but luckily we waited a week.
The fraud power rankings are a fluid science, ever changing, and we're gonna break down as it stands today. Also, Pac-12 update is coming. There's a lot going on in the Pac-12, a lot of chatter. Most of it coming out of Tempe, Arizona, last night. Where woof. Call Jack Schwartz, get him back on the show.
Yeah, we can't have. Yeah, he's done. He can't talk about his team anymore.
There's a ton of Pac-12 stuff to talk about. And the narrative around the Pac-12, which was my fear, Tate. It was my fear coming into this season, given how well the Pac-12 did in the NCAA tournament last year. I said, I hope we can carry over the good vibes into this season.
Yes.
We lasted until about December 1st, and all the good vibes are gone.
Yeah. The Villanova game was supposed to carry us longer than it did. That was the big hurdle.
It's gone. So I'm going to do my best to set the record straight with the Pac-12. What else is there? That's a lot. That's a loaded show.
I mean, Porter Moser is back on the map at Oklahoma. So, I mean, we got some.
There's a lot to talk about, and we'll do our best to talk about it all. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, Tate. Let's start with North Carolina, Michigan. Obviously, first of all, give us a vibe check where you stand. I feel like you so far this season. Again, we're not even a month into the season. It feels like you have been through an entire roller coaster of emotions. A lot goes into that. One, your team has been up and down. Two,
yes,
you have Hubert Davis.
Where's the integrity meter? Because I have been on both sides, shooting back and forth.
You have a new coach, so like there's there we go. There's the integrity meter.
I'm trying to get to Roy Williams.
You have a new coach, so like there's not the say a school like Virginia looks at Tony Bennett and how their season's been a little rocky to start, but they're like, we trust Tony.
Yeah, Tony will figure it out.
Tony will figure it out.
He'll get us back on the tracks.
You don't know if you can trust Hubert, but you want to talk yourself into trusting Hubert, but you don't know why you're talking yourself into it. So where do you stand right now after you just beat the hell out of Michigan?
I feel like we got, basically an extended deadline, right? That's how this feels. This feels like there was an exam that was set on a date, and we were all looking around saying, I don't think I'm prepared for this exam. This exam is going to wreck us. And then we went to class, and the professor, the basketball god, said, we're going to kick this can down the road. You guys got some more time because Michigan is also a mess. And Michigan could be the printer in this case. Maybe they couldn't print the test. But the analogy is done in Michigan. They came to North Carolina, they came to Chapel Hill, and they were, luckily for North Carolina, a bit of a mess themselves. And it set up for the perfect opportunity for North Carolina to get things settled because Brady Manick, I think we're on the same page. Like if you wanted to ask me where my mentality is, like where am I as far as buying in, I'm on the same page as Brady Manick.
Whatever Brady is.
Wherever Brady is, that's where I'm at. Because Brady, he made a great point. He said, I've never played on a team with 4 McDonald's All-Americans. But we're losing. So he's like, the most I've ever had is 1.
Yeah.
And we were actually winning some games with that 1 McDonald's All-American. So I don't know the problem here, but we need to fix it. And I think that was a telltale sign a little bit with this team. And they finally stepped up in a big moment. But I'm not all the way sold yet, Titus. You know what I mean? Like,
really?
Even though we get a 21-point win, I feel really good about it. We made shots. And when you make shots, everything looks better.
So you're saying for you, this game was more about Michigan than the North Carolina, it sounds
like.
Well,
it was great for Hubert Davis and for North Carolina to have a packed Dean Dome, to be loud, to have a great time, to get a big win. It was great for momentum. It was great for the program to keep the haters.
A program win?
This was a signature win. A signature win for Hubert Davis.
Wow.
But again, when you look at the other party that you beat, you have to contextualize that a little bit and say, what is happening? What is this dumpster fire happening over here? No, because I'm having a great time, but also I'm a little concerned.
I think you just take the you take the wins where you can get them.
And maybe that's me being an analyst now. You know what I mean? Or like, we talk about college basketball at large. I mean, I think if it was me, let's say in college, 2012, me, and that game happens, I don't care about Michigan at all. Who
are you tweeting?
Let them burn.
Who is junior year of college Tate Frazier tweeting at? After you watch Carolina get a big win, who's the first person that you're saying, like, suck it?
Well, Dickie V, just because he was there, I was like, Dickie V, tell the people who we are. Remind the people.
That's the first three you're
what
fired
we're
up
up to. Yeah, exactly. So I needed Dickie V to put the push out. And then maybe I would go back at Jay Billis, I used to tweet at Jay Billis all the time, to put some respect on our names.
I think that's my goal in this industry, is become the guy that, like, people... it kind of happens with a handful of people that follow the show.
Fans.
Yeah, I want to become the guy, like, when Billis hangs it up, because Billis is probably the guy right now, right? The guy that, like, your team wins and you just want to yell at somebody. Mm-hmm. I want to be that guy in college basketball.
I want it to be like Stephen A. Smith.
Put some damn respect on Bethune-Cookman's name.
Yes.
We've won 3 in a row now. Mm-hmm. Talk about us on the show.
Mm-hmm. Talk about Caleb Love.
All right.
That's all I'm saying. Talk about Caleb Love. But I leave this game.
Shout out to Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah,
what a pull.
Yeah, that's a good pull.
I think of any school.
Hubert Davis, 0 for 6 against the spread. Wins this game by 21 points.
What was the spread for this one?
2.5.
Wow.
Michigan. So the fact that he was able to answer the bell and this team was able to kind of get the demons off their back a little bit. Like I said, Roy Williams was there. He seemed very pleased.
Did he go to all the games?
Yeah, he's gone to all the games. He hasn't missed a game yet.
We kind of want him to miss a couple, don't we?
No.
You want him at every game.
See, what I was scared of, what I was so upset about when he left was that Dean Smith was in the shadows, right? Coach Smith, he was there. He was omnipresent. You couldn't see him, though. Roy is forward facing. Roy is there. Roy
There's no
has his seat. No, he's like, you see me.
He's casting the shadow on Hubert.
Yes, he is the shadow. And he's like the bat signal, and everything's going wrong. Everyone's looking at Roy and they're like, what do we need to do, coach?
Dude, we need a Roy cam at North Carolina games where
the K game. We need the Roy cam at the K game.
But there's like 8 minutes left. Carolina's up 2 in the Dean Dome, and the fans are on edge because you're playing Wofford and you should be up by more, and you're like, should we be winning by more?
Yeah,
and during the timeout, they just cut to Roy, and he does the gladiator thing with his thumb, and he just sticks out
the Chuck Norris in dodgeball.
Yeah, and then he goes, boom, and then the place goes crazy. Yes. And like, we're good.
Thank you, coach.
And then he goes thumbs down, and he walks out, and everyone just starts panicking.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the other team's playing zone. We don't know what to do.
Like, Roy, how should we feel? Thumbs up or down. I'll be honest with you, didn't watch a second of this game. I was at Pauley Pavilion watching UCLA Colorado. I messed up my schedules. I've lived in LA for I don't even know how long, 2 or 3 years now, and I still get messed up on the time zones when I
look at Google.
Yeah, when I looked at Google, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the UCLA game. Then after the UCLA game, I'll watch Carolina, Michigan,
because it would be 9:30 if you were an East Coast guy. My parents are out here, and they're the same way. I mean, they're like, "What time's this game?" I'm like, 6:30. They're like, "Oh,
wow, that's pretty early."
Yeah, that's kind of a blessing.
I thought I was gonna do both. As it turns out, they were playing at the exact same time, and I tried as hard as I could to get them to throw the Carolina Michigan game on Pauley Pavilion on the big screen.
I think
they didn't do it.
For the fans at home that believe in the Titus curse, I think that they want you to go to every Pauley Pavilion game. They're like, "When does UCLA play?"
That's a good point. I think I'm doing you a favor by not watching Carolina.
And look, we both won at the end of the day. Yeah. You defeat Duke, I defeat Michigan.
Feels good. Who played well for Carolina?
I mean, it was Caleb Love's night.
It was Caleb Love's night.
I mean, that's what's a little. There were still moments, right? You know, when you watch a basketball game and you see a moment, like I compared to the Brooklyn Nets, right? You watch James Harden in the game, and you see James, and James has always been like this, and it's because he's a gifted scorer, but there are moments in time where like in Houston, Mike D'Antoni called a play, and you see everyone set up for that play, and James Harden has made a decision consciously to only look at the basket and to ignore everything else, right? Yeah. And you see like the rest of the team, they're a little deflated by that outlook.
Yeah.
Caleb has a little bit of that, but luckily last night, like I said, he made shots. Like he made some ridiculous circus shots. He stepped it up defensively a few times, but I still see moments where, maybe you make the extra pass right here, and then we're really rolling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm excited, but I still see some signs of, oh no, this could be a problem in the future. But I'm trying to be positive.
The Caleb Love experience is a roller coaster, but right now you're on the high.
When he makes shots, you know what I mean? You're like looking around, you're like, this guy's a first round pick.
Let's talk about the ACC Big Ten Challenge as a whole.
Yes.
And I guess we can hit on any other games you want to talk about. I think those are the big ones. Not even because it's just us. Not even because Carolina and Ohio State both won and we beat our rivals. I genuinely think, like, when you look on the entire challenge, like, what were the games that stood out? And obviously Ohio State Duke was the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
Like, even as a neutral, that's got to be number one, right?
That is okay. Thank you. All right, of course, because it's the number one team in the country,
right?
And
Ohio State, yes, and then also Duke was playing too.
The saddest thing about Coach K's farewell tour is that, you know, we talk about someone leading and championing what Dean Smith used to do in the ACC. Like, I am the ACC. What Big John did in the Big East, I am the Big East. And therefore, in these moments, in these challenges, you have to step up and deliver for your conference. And the fact that Coach K, who is no doubt the face of the ACC, lets them down, that really hurts to see. And then if it's not Coach K, the second face of the ACC, from what I know and what I've been told by the public, is Tony Bennett.
Yep.
And what did he do?
Also lost at home.
And guess what? The final score of the challenge was 8-6. 2 losses away. You know, I mean, maybe if Coach K wins, we get a split even tie.
That's a good point.
Maybe if Tony's able to hold off Fran McCaffrey, because they had a great comeback, we're split even, but instead you lose.
Outside of our 2 games, and honestly, I wonder how much. Don't take this the wrong way, because congratulations to Carolina, hang the banner. You guys won. You guys beat Michigan for. Is this the first time you beat Michigan in the ACC Big Ten? I feel like you guys play every single year, and Michigan beats you every year.
We just finally blew them out.
Yeah,
that's all that mattered.
So I'm not taking anything away, but I'm not sure how much did that game resonate with people last night. Was it like
it did in Chapel Hill?
Well,
it was
packed. Obviously, but
it was packed.
I mean, like
21,000.
I mean, like, nationally, was that like the game of the night?
I mean,
I don't know.
It was if you're watching ESPN.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
But see, the media is Duke. The media, like, Titus, they've all turned to Duke. So, like,
dude,
now no one talks about North Carolina.
I was asking. I wondered, like, what
right.
did you have the eyes of the country on you, like you know, like we had when St. Francis and St. John's were playing.
I mean, I was watching NC State, Nebraska in 4 overtimes, because that was a will this ever end? Will anyone be able to go home? That was a fun game to watch last night. But yeah, those 2 games.
What I was gonna say is that Ohio State Duke seemed to be a thing. Carolina Michigan, we'll throw that in the mix. What other games though? Like the point, I guess, of the broader point I want to make is, like, was this the most underwhelming ACC Big Ten challenge of all time?
Yeah.
Outside of, like, if Ohio State loses by 13 to Duke, oh my God, what a huge. I mean, obviously Iowa.
There's no talking points.
Iowa, Virginia
Purdue
was
blowing
fun.
out Florida State was like the biggest talking point up until that point, right?
Yeah, but even that, it's like
that's not fun.
You know, I mean, that's just like a continuation of, like, Purdue's awesome. Like, we already said Purdue was awesome. We already knew Purdue was awesome. Then they blow out Florida State, and you're like, Purdue is still awesome. That's like the lesson we learned from that. Iowa, Virginia was a fun game in some ways. The Virginia comes back and then still loses in the end. The 4 overtime game, it's a 4 overtime game, but then it's also Nebraska, NC State.
Syracuse, Indiana was a fun game.
Indiana was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
And that was Trace Jackson Davis. That was Mike Woodson. That was a lot of we're down 18 at one point in this game. Seemed over,
but, like,
and they fight back. Virginia Tech also came back in their game. They were down big.
Maryland, yeah. All right, you can talk me into something. Like, Syracuse,
but nationally, how many people are really up to speed on Virginia Tech's big comeback in this game? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
not many. Us. And barely.
So, what's the plan moving forward? How do we fix this?
I just think I don't think it's there anymore. I don't think the heat is there.
Why does this happen with college basketball? Where like, I'm really worried that we're in this is a for lack of a better phrase, is this a sliding doors moment, Tate? That, we get these events. I mean, this happened with the Great Alaskan Shootout, that it was a thing, and I saw people circulating the clip from what was it, 99, when Cincinnati beat Duke at the buzzer.
Yeah,
and those Duke's only it was their only loss until the national title game was at the buzzer versus Cincinnati in the Great Alaskan Shootout final. There are these events that are a huge deal. When they're announced, they become a huge deal, and then suddenly you look up and you're like, no one cares. The same thing with the NIT. The NIT, as
I thought you were going to say the PK80.
PK80, as my father likes to point out, the NIT used to matter, and I think he says that only because Indiana beat Purdue one time in the championship game. But there's that, but I to what I was going to say, that the ACC Big Ten Challenge now and the Champions Classic both feel like, I don't know, the juice is kind of gone. I'm worried about Maui as well. I think we get Maui back on the island next year. We're back, but like Maui is in a
Maui's going to be okay because we go back to the island. But the ACC Big Ten used to be like a cultural decision that was made of who was the better basketball conference, right? That would be the answer that we got. And now it doesn't even feel like an answer has been given. There's
too many data points too now, because like you can point to you could say like I don't know that you can. It's the first of all, we got the Gavitt games where the Big East is playing the Big Ten, so like the Big Ten beats the ACC and the Big Ten ACC deal. But then the Big East had beaten the Big Ten, so like
now the Big East
is
the best conference in basketball.
Yeah. But then like I don't know what the hell Ken Pom has his little like conference ranking algorithms where he says the Big 12 is the best. I just clicked on it right now. It's literally Big 12 is number one.
Yeah.
West Coast Conference fans, like they were beating the hell out of Pac-12 teams, and they were like, "Are we the best?" And the answer was no. But the fact that they were even thinking it is like. So the point is, we don't know. We don't know any of this stuff. And you're right. Like there was a simpler time where we used to just take it at face value. Whoever wins the Big Ten ACC Challenge is the best conference.
Yeah.
And away we go. And we don't ask questions about it.
Which it got me thinking that we need a team that is the litmus test every single year. So I think that the team this year, to me, that is that litmus test team is Tarleton State. And I think what should happen is Tarleton State at the beginning of the year should have all 25 AP preseason teams on their schedule.
Yeah.
And then we base it on how bad they beat Tarleton State.
Straight up margin of victory.
Exactly.
Whoever beats Tarleton State by the most.
Exactly. You're like, so right now Gonzaga is like the 15th ranked team because they barely beat Tarleton State.
Do you think that I assume they're going to keep the ACC Big Ten Challenge going? I wouldn't say it's dying. Obviously,
I think it's going to be around.
I'm not suggesting that, but the juice does seem to be running out. And
it started in 1999, so we are 20-ish years. This is about the time where you say, "Do we have 20 more?
What do we have here?
Or are we wrapping this?
The kids have grown up. They've all gone to college. They're looking at each other, and we're saying." Should we just get divorced now?
Yeah.
Should we just like?
I'm over this challenge. Yeah.
The challenge is over. How do you spice it up though? Because I think like my one idea, this would have been a great year for it, even though Ohio State beat Duke and that ended up delivering an awesome game. This was the obvious year that you put Duke and Purdue together, but they announced the matchups before the season. And I still think it was weird that Florida State played Duke and Ohio, like because Duke should have played either Michigan, because Michigan was supposed to be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Duke should have either played Michigan or Purdue, right?
Purdue should have been the game.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Coach K obviously tried to dodge that game.
Yeah.
He dodged into a loss, which is why it's hilarious, right? I mean, the karma that comes around, it always happens.
But what other? I mean, like, what else is there other than
tried this year? They had 5 first-time
schedule.
matchups. They had Iowa, Virginia, Minnesota, Pitt, Miami, Penn State, Nebraska, NC State, Maryland, Virginia Tech. So they tried to have some teams like, oh, you've never seen these teams play each other. But again, none of it hit because Maryland should have played Duke. Really, that was what we wanted.
Absolutely right.
At Maryland,
yeah, you're right.
Like as far as just the general interest, you get the early 2000s fans, Jay Kangs of the world that like college basketball for like 5 years. You know, they're like. I lock into this moment in time. You know what I mean? Like you got to tap into that early 2000s college basketball nostalgia that we all love, you know?
Right.
And that the elite journalists of the world, the New Yorker writers love, you know what I mean? That's that period of time.
That's Maryland Duke.
That's Maryland Duke. You tap into that, you show that, you get people talking about it, maybe we have a chance. So I think it's kind of that. It's like setting up the matchups and then making sure that we understand the storylines that go into it. If we had Gary Williams on the sideline watching Coach K in his last game, and then we get cutbacks to Juan Dixon and Chris Wilcox and Jason Williams in those times.
I think that would have been a great event. I know that had to happen. I think the problem, though, is like when this initially started, it was like exciting because it was. I think I've made this point. I probably made this exact point a year ago when we were talking about the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
Who knows?
But I feel like it was exciting to see these teams that never play each other on home court. Like now they're playing each other, but now. Through 20 years of the best, because you want to match it up where the best teams are playing the best teams. Spoiler alert, year after year, the best teams are continuing to be the same. Northwestern is never going to play Duke in this challenge. That's just not going to happen. I don't
well, maybe Duke in the future.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So like the novelty is worn off in that regard. You know what I mean? Like Michigan playing in the Dean Dome is not.
Or Carolina in Assembly Hall.
Carolina in Assembly Hall, the novelty is worn off, and it used to be awesome. And I don't know how we fix that part, but they'll continue doing it, and we'll continue talking about it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
This was like a very outside of Ohio State beating Duke. I think if you take that game away, if Duke, like I said, they were up 15. If Duke wins that game by 15,
well,
this is the worst ACC Big Ten challenge ever. It's so boring.
Here's what Hollywood does. They do mashups. This is like once you've already done the sequels, once you've already seen every iteration, they do like XX. So like, what if we do ACC Big Ten Challenge X Maui Invitational?
Yeah, there we go.
All of the teams go to Maui,
yes,
and then they all play in Lahaina Civic Center, and it's just like this mega event, and everyone's on the island.
Now we're talking, dude. This is big brain thinking.
That's the X. You know what I mean? Now we go mega.
Yes,
this is
dude. Big brain thinking.
That's where we're going next. We're going to Maui.
I think
the ultimate challenge.
One of the worst ideas I've ever had was also what was it that I think it was Champions Class. I forget what the idea even was, but this is going great. I think it was the Champions Classic. You take the top 4 teams in the AP poll. You just wait to the preseason top 4 teams in the AP poll. You make them play an actual tournament instead of a doubleheader. So like the winners of the first 2 games actually play each other for the championship, and then the winner gets an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. And
no matter what.
And I had, that was my big brain idea, because I think it would be absolutely hysterical if Kentucky wins the Champions Classic with a team full of freshmen, and they've played 2 games together, and now they know they're in the tournament.
So they opt out the rest of the year. We don't play regular season basketball.
Just like watch what happens next.
Yeah, we're just a postseason team. Yeah. They're locked as a 1 seed.
No, that's actually a great idea. Maui,
dude,
X
Big Ten ACC challenge. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
We gotta do something. Who do we call? We gotta call somebody.
We gotta do so. We gotta get rid of these. Like, and by the way, like, I'm man enough to admit this. The Big Ten won. The Big Ten wins seemingly every year now. But
12-8-3 all time. ACC leads
still.
Yeah, 12-8-3 all time.
Come on,
3 in a row for the Big Ten, but the ACC.
But like when you're talking about games like Minnesota versus Pitt having an impact on, it is kind of weird.
Rutgers, Clemson.
Yeah, that's the problem with all these challenges. And there's again, when the ACC Big Ten thing started, it was cool, new, and fun. Now there's the Big 12 SEC challenge. There's Big East, Big 10.
We should have banned the other. They should have never let that happen. That was the other problem.
I agree. Was there anything else from all this that you want to talk about? Like I don't even know what the hell else even there is. Virginia Tech beating Maryland.
Yeah,
are we worried about?
Yeah, Maryland's in trouble.
Yeah,
as we said, or as I said earlier in the season, the seat is hot on Turgeon. It has to be.
On a scale from 1 to Paolo Banchero, playing a full basketball game, how much is Mark Turgeon sweating right now? Thinking about his job.
As much as Gary Williams. That is. I think he's looking in the mirror and he's thinking to himself, "Oh my God, I've turned into what I said I would never be. I am Gary Williams sweating in this locker room." And who's the answer? I don't know. But Maryland, they're too good of a brand and they have too much cachet in the college basketball space to be this irrelevant. It's a fact.
You pull no punches when you talk about the Mark Turgeon
because I know Maryland. I know Maryland has higher aspirations, and they know it.
It's just You're not wrong. It's just so funny because like the way anyone else talks about Maryland,
and I like the guy.
There it is. When the rest of us talk about Maryland, what makes it so fascinating is this idea of Turgatory that Mark Turgeon has created.
Turgatory.
Where you can see he's like the new Scott Drew of trying to argue both sides of like, is he good or is he not? And like, and he's Maryland is always good enough. Like they won the Big Ten 2 years ago.
Okay, tied. You know how it's Big Ten stat of the day. No one remembers that.
So you can argue that he's always got good teams. They regularly make the NCAA tournament. It's like he's obviously a good, like they got a good thing going here. But then on the other side, it's not that good. Like so, whenever anyone else talks about Maryland, it's always like I see it both ways. It's a little hazy. Where do I land?
But
it's never been hazy with you.
Do you know that Maryland at one point, Lefty Drizel said that Maryland was the UCLA of the East? You know what I mean? Like this is what Maryland basketball was founded upon. Moses Malone was going to go to Maryland. Lynn Bias went to Maryland. Yeah. Like John Gilchrist, like they've had some amazing players over the years that have gone to Maryland and succeeded. I mean, even Grievous Vasquez, that era. Yeah. In the early, like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. We know what Maryland can be if they are tapped. And right now they're untapped.
Was it the 2015 season that I thought Maryland
Mellow
should be
Trimble when they were number 2 in the country and they come to Chapel Hill and play Carolina and get blown out.
Dude, I think I would have had them number 1 in the country preseason.
Yeah. Well,
Jake Lehman.
Yeah.
And who else was on that? Diamond Stone, right?
They had a team.
Mellow Trimble. They were loaded.
Yeah.
And they sucked.
And guess what? Guess who their coach was? That's all I'm saying. I don't know who the answer is on the other side of that. Could it be Sean Miller?
It's Sean Miller.
That's what I think.
They tried to hire Sean Miller. What was that? When they hired Turgeon, right?
Yeah.
2011?
Mm-hmm.
20, wasn't that?
Derek
right?
Williams, I think, like right after Derek Williams, they were like, we need that guy.
Right?
Sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds about right.
I swear Sean Miller was supposed to go.
Sean Miller was like on a plane to visit NC State too. I mean, he was taking the trips.
Dude, because I remember falling into a rabbit hole reading these forums about how Sean Miller's wife is allergic to the desert in Arizona.
Yeah, and wanted to get out. It always comes back to the wife.
And I was like, this is a new one. I've never seen this one before. And someone's like, no, I know
she's
Sean
allergic to the desert.
I didn't know anybody could be allergic to
People were so funny with that stuff.
I love it. Anyway, that's ACC Big Ten Challenge. We are the big winners. We did it, Tate.
Yes.
Hang the banner in the studio.
Have you talked to Coach Holtmann, by the way? Is he excited?
I did, yeah.
I texted him, and it seemed like it hadn't watched.
You texted?
Yeah, of course.
Did he hit you back?
Yeah, he was like, thanks so much. You know what I mean? Like,
what a guy.
Well,
because
he's Gardner Webb. He's got small town roots.
Hold on. Are you greasing the wheels for Holt when Huber doesn't work out?
No.
Are you going behind? I swear to God, if you're going behind my back,
you know the school that wants Coach Holtmann, Kentucky.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean,
that's the school that wants him. That's
if he goes to, I'll just tip my cap.
He's perfect for like real true blue. I know Kentucky fans don't want to hear this because they're in Calipari land and they're not looking around,
right.
But Chris Holtmann would be what Kentucky basket. You know what I mean?
Dude,
he would tap right in.
Like, let us enjoy the win over Duke. Why are you?
I'm just saying, I wanted Coach Holtmann back in those conversations again, and he needed this win.
He's back in those conversations. Yeah. He's back. Yeah, you're right. He's. Why would you say that?
No, you're a football school. Don't worry about it.
Because the thing is, Kentucky is. You're right. Like, that is the one job I know he would take, and I wouldn't even like.
You can't get mad at him.
You wouldn't get mad at him at all. He's from there. He's from he's coming back home.
Yeah, bluegrass.
But if he came out and he was like, I'm not a Kentuckian. That part of my life is over. Put that behind me. I'm a Buckeye now. Always will be.
I'm a Buckeye for life. That'd be great.
I would love that. What else is there? We wrap that up. We can move on.
I think we can move on.
You want to do Pac-12 update or fraud?
Let's do Pac-12.
You want the Pac-12 stuff? All right, because there's a lot.
You went to the game, yeah.
There's a lot. We're gonna. I'll talk about the game in a second. We'll leave that as bullet point number 2. We got to start with the big Pac-12 news, which, in case you missed it, Arizona State is dead. They're done. It is over. The party is over. The Bobby Bags era is over at Arizona State. Not officially, but we're just running out the clock at this point.
Yeah.
Arizona State lost at home to Washington State. Now, Washington State, probably the worst Power 5. Everyone says it's the worst Power 5 job in college basketball, Washington State. That's what I've heard forever. The only reason this program is relevant to anybody is because Dick Bennett knew that he could Trojan horse Tony Bennett into a head coaching job if he took the Washington State job and then quit. And then let his son take over and get Klay Thompson there. Like, that's all we knew about Washington State basketball.
Still all we know.
Well,
other than Moneyball.
I was going to say, as you pointed out, as you told us in the preview this year, there's some Moneyball stuff going on at Washington State. So they are better. Washington State is slightly better, I think, now than their name brand might suggest when you see Washington State basketball. But at the end of the day, it's still Washington State. And you're at home. Arizona State playing at home. They lose. They lose 29. What was it? 51.
51-29. Yeah.
They scored 29 points. Tate. They were down 18-10 at halftime.
This is the worst offensive performance
ever.
Yeah, might as well say. I was gonna say they said for 80 years from Arizona State, but ever is the right answer.
Ever is the right answer.
Yeah.
Like,
in modern times.
Because 80 years ago they were dribbling out
That's
the clock and
they
getting
weren't
a ladder
playing
out
basketball.
to get the ball out of the peach basket.
Yes.
Like, what the hell,
exactly.
dude?
100%.
Where do they go from here? Like, honestly,
I think you're right. I think it's Bob Hurley's first 5-game losing streak ever. Right? So he's lost 5 games in a row. He used to be Mr. December. This used to be the time when Bobby Hurley would get America on his side.
He turns it on and gets like 2 big wins in December.
Yeah. And they're like, beating BYU or something like that.
Dude, they beat Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse.
That is true.
Yeah.
What is he doing? What has happened? And you know what he did? He did the one thing, which is, I think every single coach, and this goes back to Juwan Howard, right? There's this line, and the integrity meter kind of shows you that. But there, you can go good guy, which is a path, it's a choice. You're around college kids, and like Juwan Howard, I saw him picking up guys when they were down 20 and like slapping them in the butt. And I was like, oh, he's gone good guy. He's going down the good guy tangent. Yeah. And I think Bob Hurley went down the bad guy tangent, trying to get these 5 stars to come in, like Marcus Bagley and Josh Christopher, and it's empty calories. The 5-star, it was a rat race to nowhere, and it has left him in a 5-game skid right now. And we don't know where they go from here. And I don't know where Bobby goes from here, because this was supposed to be a parlay into a bigger job for Bob Hurley.
It was, yeah. That was always the plan.
And now
for him, yeah.
If you can't win here, you can't win anywhere. Right? I mean, that's like how the powers that be, they're like, Bob Hurley's not a good hire. He couldn't even win in Arizona State.
In Bobby Hurley's mind, this is the time. The stars should have been aligning right now this year.
Yes.
For him to take the Maryland job.
Yes.
Next year.
Yes.
For Maryland.
Oh my God.
In Bobby Hurley's mind, he like finishes second in the Pac-12 this year behind UCLA or Arizona. It's a surprise finish because everyone thought it'd be Arizona and UCLA, and he knocked one of them off, and like he's second in the Pac-12.
And it would be great if you
go to the Sweet 16, and then he takes the Maryland.
The
job.
Hurley brothers, one of them is at a, it's kind of like what we had with the Miller brothers, where you got 2 good coaches that know how to coach that are at these institutions, and they're keeping them in the conversation. So we could have Bob at Maryland and Dan at UConn, and the rest is history. But he's not on that path.
What if Arizona State fires Bobby Hurley and hires Sean Miller? And Sean Miller goes from Arizona.
That would be sick.
Am I going to suggest Sean Miller to every school?
Yeah.
Is this what the future holds for me? Is every coach that's?
I mean, Archie or Sean?
I think so.
I mean, what is Archie's plan?
Is this an Archie?
Archie could go to Arizona State. Why not?
Dude, that's a great exercise, though. Is this an Archie or a Sean job?
Yeah.
And you think about
who fits where?
Who fits in the which?
UNLV, Sean job.
That's a Sean job.
Yeah. That's a Sean job. You gotta know too, you don't have to think about it. It just like hits you. You're like, that's Sean job, no doubt. That's Archie job. NC State, Archie job.
That's an Archie job. Yeah.
Florida,
I think that's Archie job.
I think it's Archie job.
That's
too.
an Archie job.
Yeah, Sean's too on the nose at Florida. He's too exposed.
Miami might be a Sean job. That's a Sean
absolutely. Job. Kidding me?
All right, we're too deep in this. This is one of those things that like makes perfect sense to us, but I imagine everyone listening is like, what the hell
they're like, who is Sean and Archie Miller?
Yeah. All right, so that's the big news out of the Pac-12. Arizona State sucks, but we knew that already. We had
prepared for that to be the case.
I'm picturing what was that sign from? It's become a meme now. That sign that says our expectations were low.
But my God, holy hell, what is this?
That is Arizona State.
That's Zach Schwartz standing outside our studio right now. We are not picking up the phone because we will not talk about Arizona State.
Arizona State is become an Ohio State transfer destination, by the way. Luther Muhammad, Alonzo Gaffney, Mickey Mitchell was on the team a few years ago. Like,
it's smart if you're Arizona State. Just go to these big time programs.
It's smart on paper, but then you look up and he scored 10 points and a half at home against Washington State.
Well, I think it's a lot of times when you get these guys from the big school, there's a reason that they're leaving. You know what I mean? You always like Garrison Brooks at Mississippi State. Everyone's like, this guy was the preseason ACC player of the year. I was like, yeah, he was.
All right, moving on. Here's my boots on the ground Pac-12 update. I went to the UCLA Colorado game last night, Pauley Pavilion. Colorado made it close in the second half there for a second, and UCLA had to sweat it out. But they kind of cruised. They didn't cover though. I was with some gamblers that had UCLA to cover, and I think it was Jules Bernard had a 3 at the end. That if it goes down, they cover. But anyway, UCLA was in control most of the game. All that was good. There's something else to report, Tate. I went to this restaurant. $3 signs on Google, maybe 4. Very fancy, very nice, great food. Called Fellow. I want to get this right. I got to look it up. I think it was Fellow.
Fellow?
Just Fellow restaurant in Westwood. Yeah, it's Fellow. I went to this place called Fellow, and I want to shout them out because I walk into the restaurant. The reservation. So the tip's at 6:30 p.m. Tate. I made a reservation at 5:15, that feels like very, like when you're making a reservation for 5:15, you're like, how old am I? This is insane. But also the rest,
Do you guys have discounts at this time?
also, I'm trying to get to the game.
So take advantage of this time.
Yes. So I go at 5:15. I walk in. They just kind of opened the restaurant, and the hostess goes, and this is big. This is huge. This is UCLA basketball being back. The hostess goes, "Are you going to the game tonight?"
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God. And this is a $4 sign restaurant. Like I spent a lot of money on this meal, like too much money. Like it was so expensive that I was looking, I literally told the waiter, bring me the most.
And your other party has Colorado stuff on, right? So
yes.
It's even more.
Yes.
They're willing.
So I told the waiter, I said the words, bring me the cheapest glass of wine you have, because I was looking at the menu and I was just like, my God, this is, it's that kind of restaurant, Tate. And the hostess goes, are you going to the game? And I was like, yeah, because I was wearing a UCLA sweatshirt that I had bought it's the one UCLA thing I own. I said, yeah, I'm going. But why do you need to know that? And she goes, because I'm going to tell the kitchen and we're going to get your order out fast so you can get to that game. And I was like, we are in a college basketball.
No, that's what blue bloods do.
That's blue blood status. Yeah.
That's what blue bloods do.
I had a bad experience the last UCLA game I went to. I told you the Ghostbusters premiere was going on. That took precedent over UCLA playing. So I'm here to report UCLA basketball might be back because if the fancy restaurants of Westwood are accommodating the basketball fans, that's a big deal.
And UCLA is now actually perfectly placed at number 5. And they kind of have gotten people off the scent a little bit. You know what I mean? Like now that Gonzaga's beating them by 20, we're not all gung-ho about it's like the right UCLA people were invested.
Right.
They believe all they needed was a top 25 team to really be back in. And you give them a top 5 team, they're really in.
That's the other part is like I feel like half the UCLA fan base didn't even watch that Gonzaga game. They were riding the high from the Final Four. They went to the Villanova game.
Yes.
And they were like, dude, we're great. We'll check back in when we play Arizona or USC.
Yeah.
We'll come to those games.
Yeah.
But
start of the new year.
And then they just assume that they've won every game between that.
Yeah. They're like, we play Gonzaga?
When was that?
Yeah.
In the tournament, the Final Four, you mean? Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, I love that game. Big shot that kid hit.
Other things to report, Jaime Jaquez or Jamie Jazzquez, as some people call him, got a concussion, I think, or he's in concussion protocol, so we're gonna have to monitor that situation. Yeah, hit his head pretty hard. And then the other thing that stood out to me, Tiger Campbell was killing this kid because Jaquez goes out and Tiger Campbell turns it on and was very, very aggressive. Like he's basically only shooting wide open threes this year. That's why he's like hitting everything. But last night he was like pulling off of 0 dribbles or off of 0 passes. Like you bring the ball up, get a ball screen, and just let it fly. And I love that because we don't want this out of Tiger Campbell every game, but we need it on film. You know what I mean? It's like the football coaches that run the trick play in week 3 just to put it on film. That's what we need out of Tiger Campbell. Put it on film. Now when you're playing UCLA, you got to be prepared for the night when Tiger Campbell's like, I'm coming here to score 25 points and you're going to have to deal with me. And you forgot about me because you were worried about Jaquez and
that's a unique skill because like as a point guard, you usually have the facilitator and the scorer, and they're usually at odds with each other. And the best point guards are the ones that can be both. And it's very rare to have both. Chris Paul is both. Kyrie Irving is both. You know, you can argue that Stephen Curry is both. I've always argued that Steph is more of a shooting than a point. But regardless, the mindset of being able to carry both responsibilities and shoulder both is very unique. Mm-hmm. And Tiger is really the only, because you look at the top teams, he's the best point guard that you have. So when you get to the tournament, there's a conversation to be had. Does UCLA have the best pure point guard? And I think Tiger might be the one.
I think that might be the statement that infuriates a lot of the people listening. But I'm with you though. He's good. He's very good.
They could be upset.
Yeah.
I mean, Ivy is not a pure point guard, right? I mean, he is a scoring guard. Nimhard is good. That's who we're comparing him against. But I think Tiger is better than all those guys. I'm not saying he's going to go score 40 points and be the superstar of the team. But as far as managing the game, controlling the pace, and then, hey, we need a bucket here, he's got you.
All right.
Which is good.
How about that?
You want that?
Shout out Tiger Campbell, getting some love from Tate on the show.
Yeah.
No, he was great. He was very aggressive, and we
because he had to be.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, love it. What else is going on in the Pac-12 update? Utah Valley beat BYU. BYU, a team that was puffing its chest, rightfully so. I thought, boy, there's a lot to figure out here because BYU smacks Oregon. And at the time, I was like, this is the best win in college basketball this year. I remember thinking that. I was like, this is obviously Ohio State beating Duke has got to be number 1 now, right? I mean, who are we kidding?
I think so. Something like that.
But I remember being blown away because they beat the snot out of Oregon in Portland in front of Phil Knight. But then that win has become greatly devalued as we've since learned that Oregon is a massive, massive fraud and is not nearly as good as we thought they were going to be. But BYU beat Oregon. I forget who else they've beaten, but the football team, I know BYU football had beaten like 5 Pac-12 teams this year. And there is chatter coming out of Provo, Tate, that BYU is the best football and basketball program in the entire Pac-12 because every time they play Pac-12 teams, they beat them.
Yeah.
So here's the Pac-12 update. BYU, honorary Pac-12 team, loses in overtime at Utah Valley in a game that Mark Pope, I'm sure, scheduled just because he used to coach at Utah Valley and just threw him a bone and was like, I'll bring my team back because I love my time here so much. We'll come back and kick your ass, but you can sell a lot of tickets and it's a win for everybody. Except it wasn't a win for everybody on this
Not
night.
so fast.
Yeah.
And I was just looking to see kind of how this happened. They had a guy come off their bench, Utah Valley, Justin Harmon, who had 24 points. So anytime that you have a guy on your bench come off and give you 24 points in a college basketball game, where some teams can only score 29 points in a full game.
That's true.
That's
on a night when
big,
Arizona State scored 29 points
That's
at home.
a pretty big deal. So at least like there is something that BYU can point to and say that was a little bit of an aberration.
So BYU in the West Coast Conference, as we know, along with Gonzaga and St. Mary's, San Francisco is undefeated right now, West Coast Conference team. The West Coast Conference as a whole was kind of puffing its chest out, saying it was better than the Pac-12. Gonzaga beats UCLA.
Yeah.
Who did St. Mary's beat Oregon? And they did, right?
I think so. In the Maui. Yeah.
So there was this whole idea: is the top of the West Coast maybe better than the top of the Pac-12? But now, Tate, Galaxy Brain, I think if the West Coast is better than the Pac-12, we have to look at the possibility that the WAC is better than the West Coast Conference, which would mean the WAC is better than the West Coast, which is better than the Pac-12. It is actually, in fact, the WAC-12 is what I think we're learning.
The WAC-12.
Yes. Utah Valley beats BYU. Yeah. Grand Canyon has already beat LMU and Pepperdine.
Okay.
Which are West Coast Conference schools. Yes. You're following. Grand Canyon in the WAC.
Love Grand Canyon.
Tarleton State gave Gonzaga a good game.
Tarleton's the team. They're my favorite team.
Chicago State is having its best year in a very long time in the WAC. They've won 2 games, is it?
It does feel like this is the West Coast version of what happened where the Big East beat the Big Ten, who beat the ACC. You know what I mean? Where, like, I guess it all eats itself. But
dude, Chicago State 2-5. That's pretty good for Chicago State.
Yeah, 2 wins is...
That's pretty good.
Honestly, the season's over.
What else? USC smacked Utah on Wednesday. The Trojans are now 7-0 on the season, Tate. Only 3 of their games have been at home, so it's not like they're loading up on cupcakes and just rattling off wins at home. They'll play people. They went to Temple. They went to Florida Gulf Coast, too. Andy Enfield did a little thank you to his old school. He did the Mark Pope move where he's like, I'll go back to the old school.
Yeah. I like it.
The Trojans are also ranked 9th on KenPom. So if you're a KenPom person, it's
just leading up to the point where you and I already talked about this. USC is going to beat UCLA.
Of course.
And we're going to be watching that game. And all the things I just said about Tiger Campbell, Boogie Ellis is going to play better than him in every facet of that game. And people are going to be like, oh, you think Tiger Campbell's better than Boogie Ellis? That's crazy. Look at the tape.
Yeah.
But that's the USC. They're built to be a really good team. And Isaiah Mobley, obviously, was a star last year, continues to be a star on this team this year.
He's not having his brother in the way.
It actually helps. Yeah. Weirdly helps.
He's averaging like 13 and 10, I think, right now.
Yeah, I mean, 21 against Utah. So
yeah. USC's good. So
USC, as Andy Enfield always wants, they're very under the radar.
Dude,
but
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Even when Lincoln Riley come to town, it's even better for them. You know? Like when Lincoln Riley got hired, USC basketball, they had a celebration. They're like, less people are looking at us. Even better.
I know I've seen Andy Enfield press conferences, but
have I?
Boy, I'm thinking about it. I don't know what his voice sounds like off the top of my head.
No, I just know he has a beautiful wife, right? That's what everyone says. Like if you ask anyone about Andy Enfield, they're like, dude, he has a hot wife. That's all I say. I don't know how he's.
I don't know anything else. They don't know.
Nobody does. Nobody.
How does he do that?
I don't know. But
how do you coach back? I mean, like, he's coaching in Los Angeles.
Yes.
At obviously a massive university.
Huge brand.
They go to the Elite Eight last year.
Obviously,
he has the Rookie of the Year in the NBA this year. And
should have been the number 1 pick.
Nobody knows anything about the guy.
No, and they don't want to know. And he doesn't want them to know.
Genius. He offered the entire Bagley family a scholarship. People forget that.
Yes.
He wanted Marvin so badly. He was like, if your last name's Bagley, you can come to USC on a full
He's like,
ride.
even your dad. He's like,
yes, all of you.
Come to school.
Yeah. Unbelievable. What else is there? Oregon stinks. We already knew that. I just wrote down this note that I'm already pre-mad about them being on the bubble in March because I know that's going to happen. That they're gonna string together some wins, and all of a sudden they're going to be on the next. They're going to be on the next 4 out list, and I'm going. I just when that time comes, promise me, Tate, you'll join me in yelling at everybody and say Oregon's a fraud. We know who they are. We saw who they were, and
we'll see them in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, but they're gonna get an 11 seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the Sweet 16.
Pac-12 play the tournament.
Yes. Oregon State, the Beavers, 1-6 on the year this year. Not going great. They lost at home to Samford. They've lost at home to Princeton already. Samford, by the way, the SAM, not Stanford.
Yeah, Samford, Alabama, I believe is where Samford is. Yeah.
But they did go to the Elite Eight last year.
Princeton's really good, by the way. Don't sleep on Princeton. Not a bad loss.
Oregon State did go to the Elite Eight last year, though.
Yeah, exactly. They're fine. They got like 5 years to calm down.
It's been a hell of a run. What else did I have? Oh, Academy of Art University beat UC Davis, which we talked about on the last show, but I just wanted to bring that up. 79-60, 19-point win for Academy of Art University. Do you know anything about this school? Do you feel like because this jumped out to me as a potential Donda Academy of college basketball? The Academy of Art University. Tell me what you find if you look this up. Are you looking it up right now?
I'm looking it up.
They play. I wanted to point this out too. San Francisco, USF. Bill Russell went there. Casey Jones went there. They won back-to-back titles back in the day. Great program. Beat Virginia last year. They've started 8-0 this year, Tate.
What?
On December 28th, the San Francisco Dons will play Academy of Art University. So mark your calendars if you want to see more Academy of Art University basketball.
What is this?
What if they spoil their undefeated season? San Francisco's like 12-0 going into that game.
And Academy of Art is in San Francisco, right? You say
they lose to an art school.
So they're literally like playing. That's like a crosstown rival.
This has to be a Donda situation, right? Like, I mean, is this even? It's. I don't know.
I mean, they're literally, if you look at their jerseys, they literally have Art U. I'm not even kidding. This is like the most ironic basketball team of all, because like obviously, most, School of the Arts kids, right? They're not going to be playing basketball, but the fact that you have a basketball team with art on it is, like you said, very Donda of them. And then I'm looking at their roster. I mean, they have a Bagley. So one of the Bagleys that got offered to play at USC decided to go play for Academy of the Arts.
Like a real
No, not a real Bagley, but they have Josh Bagley, who's from Durham, North Carolina.
Oh my God! My God!
Oh my God! It goes all the way to the top.
Oh man! But like the idea that you have this art school that like they didn't just beat UC Davis. That's what's I don't know how good UC Davis is. I want to assume they suck, but still, it's a Division I team, Tate. Yeah. And in an art school that's not even Division I. That if you pull up your score apps or whatever, they don't even have a logo. They don't even have like it says NA when they're playing teams in Division I. They win by 19, which tells me they got some players. But how do you get players to this school? How does it all work? And the only thing that makes sense is like there's some sort of Donda situation going on. It's Donda at the collegiate level. That's the only thing that adds up, is that they're just like somehow poaching all these guys, telling all these guys like come play for us, and we don't have to go to school. And
I mean, they play Chaminade.
Are they in Chaminade's conference?
I guess they play Hawaii Pacific. They play Azusa Pacific. This is hilarious.
Cool.
I think I like this team. I think I'm a fan.
Get a jersey.
Yeah.
Get an RU jersey.
Yeah, I like it. RU. Should we do the frauds? Can I get the fraud power rankings?
Yeah,
That's what I want.
I had.
How many more Pac-12?
I had two more things I wanted to rip through real quick. George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner, he was at the Duke Gonzaga game. What does that mean to you?
Why, Sway?
What does that mean to you that he went to Duke Gonzaga?
Gonzaga is going to get in the Pac-12.
All right.
It's going to be good for us.
And then finally, Washington was supposed to play Arizona. We're recording this on Thursday afternoon-ish. They were supposed to play tonight, and Arizona had, or was it Washington? I don't know. The game got postponed because there was a little too much COVID going around. So, yeah.
So as much as we were saying we push on.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. LeBron also in protocols.
Yeah.
Because Jim reminded us that's why Coach K lost to Ohio State.
Coach K was rattled because LeBron,
his best player. It was very similar to Dean Smith learning about Michael Jordan and his flu game. He was very concerned.
Joey Lane texted us today, by the way, confirmed that the LeBron locker at Ohio State no longer exists. Makes you think. We've moved on. LeBron, like it's over. The witch is dead. Ding dong. It might be over. Like the LeBron era at Ohio State might be done.
Oh my God.
The LeBron locker's gone, dude.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I'm speechless.
And we beat Duke, dude. Like this is a huge
all
moment
he did for that
the
university.
All right, let's do frauds and we'll get out of here. Fraud power rankings. Let me lock in here.
Yeah, crack your knuckles.
Whew. All right.
I'm just so happy North Carolina is not on this list. Finally,
no, not so fast.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
They're not on the list. All right, no preamble. Let's just dive right into it. Number 5 on the fraud power rankings this week. The fraud power rankings.
The fraud power rankings.
The fraud power rankings are themselves.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I just saw you resetting.
No.
Oh my goodness! What has happened?
No. So, in the interest of being fully objective here,
yes,
I have to look at the full picture of what's going on. And the fraud power rankings came out strong to start the season. Took some big swings, Tate. Yeah. Some big misses. The most notable, probably Houston. Houston, as it turns out, very, very good. Might have the best defense in the country. Yeah. How they made their way under the fraud power rankings, I have no idea to start the season.
How did it happen?
Fire that man. Whoever put them on there, fire him.
Yeah.
Anthony Grant made an appearance, and then right after he made an appearance, Dayton won the Mickey Mouse tournament.
No, that was good. That was good for the new bloods. And
no, it was good. It was bad for the fraud power rankings.
Bad for the fraud power rankings, but good for the new bloods.
Because they are, in fact, fraudulent. I also put Pauly Pavilion on the fraud power rankings.
You did.
If you remember, I was like, this
is very fair. This
whole atmosphere
honest.
at UCLA is not what I want it to be. And then I go out to dinner and they're like, sir, are you going to the game tonight? And I was like,
we'll get you that food quickly.
God, we're back. The Big Ten, I believe, was on the fraud power rankings at one point, but the Big Ten is back. When's the ACC Big Ten challenge?
Yeah.
So at number 5, the fraud power rankings.
Fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
Don't ever say I'm not fair.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. If you ever accuse me of that, of ever being biased, I just like to point out.
Stop it.
I put the fraud power rankings number 5. Number 4 on the fraud power rankings this week. Chris Vernon's YouTube recommendation.
Yes. I'm clapping for that. YouTube.com, Titus. Look it up. Amani Bates. Ever heard of him?
Oh my God. What is going on with Memphis? They stink.
They have no point guard. Boogie Ellis, their point guard, is the point guard of USC. That's what Chris Vernon told us. He said they don't have a guard.
Lost by 19 to Iowa State, which is, Iowa State is having a resurgence, so maybe it's not that bad, but it's still bad. It's still bad. That's still really bad.
But the next
the bad one is you follow up that game, which you would think like it would be a wake up call for a young team. You need to bounce back. What better team to face in a bounce back than the worst team in the SEC? Possibly, maybe in the history now.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt has had some bad ones.
I'm kidding.
The Georgia Bulldogs, led by Tom Crean. But I'll be damned. Georgia pulls off the upset and beats Memphis. Are we done with Memphis? Is that it?
Penny Hardaway said after this game that, basically we have a lot of guys that want to be the reason why we're winning the game, which is basically saying I have a lot of guys that are selfish.
A lot of hero ball going on.
Yeah. And I don't know how you fix isolation mindsets without a point guard who can get everyone. That's the point of this. It's like you need someone to get this talent corralled. And I think the only hope is Larry Brown. Larry Brown is I
think he's too old to play point guard.
He's the best point guard on the team. Larry Brown right now at 81 years old is the best point guard of Memphis.
If I'm Penny Hardaway, the moment we have the pro day and Amani Bates, what was his vertical? 21 inches?
Yeah,
20 is, in the negative.
Say anything and I'll believe it. It was horrible.
I am typing in transferportal.com and just scrolling through and see, is that the address? And I'm scrolling through and I'm trying to find somebody, please come help us. Yeah. Somebody, because the idea of putting all your eggs in the Amani Bates, and I know Jalen Duren's good, but like as we've said over and over, you need guards to win, and at this level, you have to make shots. And
a guard has to be able to throw him the basketball. Yes. That's the problem.
And Amani Bates, not the answer, by the way. 12 points, 3 boards, and 1 assist. That's what he's averaging right now. Shooting 35% from the 3-point line. Not terrible. That's not terrible. Bad, but it's not.
But he's taking a lot of step-back threes.
68% from the free throw line. So there's a lot to be desired in the Amani Bates experience out of the gate. The Memphis experience.
Does he come back? That's the question.
I will never forget the day that he commits to Michigan State, and I get like 1,000 text messages from people that are like, "We need content now. This is massive. This is
huge."
this is sending shockwaves throughout the college basketball world.
Izzo's back.
Yes.
Izzo's
we need
on top.
instant reactions. We need maybe an emergency podcast. We might fly you to East Lansing to get a
go do live hit
on the streets as the fans are pouring into the streets. It was the biggest deal in the world, and now he's averaging 12 points for a Memphis team that lost to Georgia. Iowa State by 19.
Yeah,
and it's December 2nd,
and it's not anywhere, right? It's not even on Sports Center. Like it's not even. No one's even going to YouTube.com to like watch the highlights to see why they lost. You know what I mean? That's the worst part about it.
Oh man, number 3 on the fraud power rankings this week. The guys, specifically Kyle Guy and Tony Guy.
The guys.
Tony Guy Bennett.
The guys.
Tony's been spending a lot of time on the fraud power rankings. Tony Bennett's team plays Iowa in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. As you said, if Duke's not going to carry the banner for the ACC, it's got to be Virginia.
That's what I was told.
Yeah,
I was told that Coach K was always going to carry the banner.
On their home court, they let an Iowa team build a huge lead. They come back, which I guess
give them credit.
Give them credit.
Like,
for that.
What did we say the last show? Don't come back if you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
that's not worth it.
How dare you?
How dare you?
So Virginia is now 5-3. It is, like I don't know if we're hitting the panic button. I think we've already hit it.
Yeah,
Virginia
fans have sent me some it's the first time I've seen Virginia fans break. You know what I mean? Where like they've lost. We talked about the faith in Tony. They seem to be pointing fingers now, which is good.
I swear to God, I warned all of them that this would happen, and they didn't believe me. When I was down in Charlottesville celebrating the national title with them all, I was they're like, man, it's so cool that like a guy like you that has no ties to Virginia just fell in love with our brand of basketball and our team, and thank you so much for all the good things you say about us and fighting the good fight for us. And I looked every single one of those people now, and I was like, a day will come where I will turn on you.
Yeah.
A day will come where I will watch Virginia and I'll be like, this team sucks.
Yeah, and I'm over it.
And I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm there yet, Tate, but I'm getting very close because the Tony Bennett's calling card, obviously defense. This team is built. This is the way you describe it. You know how you say people have a face for radio or whatever. That's the way you describe this Virginia team is they were built to play defense, which is a way to. It's my way of saying they suck offensively.
Yeah. And
the only chance they have to win games is to actually like play elite Tony Bennett caliber defense, and they're just not doing that. And it's going to be a long season.
It's going to be a long season. And Virginia fans want me to point out every time we talk about them, they have a great recruiting class coming in.
Okay.
They have everything. All the ducks are in a row for them to be okay. This is a classic down year, but you bounce back next year. So we'll give them the benefit.
There is
of the
also
doubt.
this silver lining. I'll in the interest of fairness, I'll point it out. They did beat Providence by 18, and Providence beat Purdue in a secret scrimmage. People forget.
How did they do that?
People forget.
I don't understand.
They beat the team that beat the number 1 team.
I got to go to YouTube.com.
Go to YouTube.com.
And watch that game.
They also beat Georgia, who beat Memphis. Who also beat...
So
hang the banner.
All things considered, Virginia might be a tournament team.
I'm throwing Kyle Guy in there with Tony this week, though, because Kyle was very active on Twitter as Virginia was losing to Iowa. First of all, he said, like, this Iowa team stinks, which was funny because they beat Virginia. But he's been defending... The best defense going on in Virginia basketball right now is Kyle Guy defending Tony Bennett. That is really the only defense taking place in the realm of Virginia basketball, which is fine. You got to defend your guy. All that's fair. What I take issue with Kyle Guy, and I'm putting him on the fraud power rankings because this is very fraudulent. He said he tweeted this, and in my opinion, there's a clear number 1 in the country. It is not Duke, and this was before Duke and Ohio State even played. He was watching the Florida State Purdue game. He was talking about Purdue, obviously. Purdue fans are not happy with this because it's a fresh wound. Virginia.
Yeah,
Purdue.
they're like, of all people to give us our credit here, we don't need Kyle Guy. Please.
And Kyle chirps back at one of them and says, I got love for Purdue. I almost went there. And that the fraud alarm just started going crazy. And I was like, one of two things is true. Either he is lying, fraudulent. He didn't go to Purdue. He just like is saying this to make the Purdue fans happy. Or 2, he was serious and he really almost went to Purdue, which in my view, that's more fraudulent than lying to the Purdue fans.
Yeah, that's very Brad Stevens.
So I don't know.
I've heard him say on the record, I wanted to go to IU.
Of course.
Yeah, I've heard him say that. And I know that, it might just be one of those things where, like, if you asked me, I'd be like, I wanted to go to Wake Forest. But, like, deep down, you didn't want to go to Wake Forest.
We are entering LeBron, Kobe territory with Kyle Guy, I think, where he's just like...
It's got that vibe to it. Who asked me?
Yeah.
Who's asking the question?
Dude, I love Butler. I grew up going to Butler games. Yeah. I wanted to go to Butler, actually.
And look, we use this, on occasion, when we're talking to certain fans, but... Kyle Guy, you can't tweet it, for God's sakes.
My move is to, I'll just cheer. Like, I wore a UCLA sweatshirt to the game last night. If someone called me on it, I'd just say UCLA was my safety school.
Yeah, almost went there.
I almost went there.
Yeah.
It was very close, but I got into Ohio State, so I decided to go there instead. Or like I was thinking about going to grad school there. I looked it up. One night I Googled UCLA law school, and I was like, should I do this? Should I go to law school at UCLA? And then I slept on it. I was like, no, I shouldn't.
No, I shouldn't.
I definitely should not.
No, that'd be a lot of work.
But I almost did.
Yeah.
So go Bruins.
Shout out to Kyle Guy.
What's next on number 2, fraud power rankings. This is getting juicy. I'm excited because there's a lot of options at the top. And at number 2, I have this. The Juwan Howard Media Mafia. The people who Juwan Howard, this is year 3 for Juwan Howard. It's not even year 4. It's not even his program yet. Yeah. We know year 4
still
is
Beeline's program.
When your program kicks in, Tate.
Yep.
The amount of times in these first 3 years, more so the first 2 years, because year 3 is not going as expected in Ann Arbor, but the amount of times in the first 2 years that I saw people that I used to respect say something along the lines of, how did Michigan lose John Beilein and somehow get better? It made my head spin. It was putting me in an uncomfortable position, because now you have me, Tate, an Ohio State guy, where I have to defend John Beilein and say, like, are you guys out of your mind? Do you remember how good John Beilein was as a coach? And as apparently no. And Juwan Howard shows up. He gets the job. He cries at his press conference. It was genuine. We loved it. We talked about it. We're like, that is pretty sick that it means this much to him. I thought he was a guy who wanted to get an NBA job his entire life, but I actually
still might.
He still might. But like when I saw him in Michigan, I was like, oh my God, he really might be here forever. Like, he loves the school. He's dapping up Harbaugh when they beat Ohio State. Kudos to him for that. Great guy. Awesome. Yeah. He then year 1, remember, they're unranked to start. They win the battle for Atlantis. I think they beat Carolina, right?
Yeah. They go on a nice.
They beat Carolina and Gonzaga.
Yep.
They come out of
in the title game.
They get an all-time Atlantis bump. We've never seen anything like this in the history of Maui/Atlantis bumps ever. Michigan goes from unranked to number 4 in the country. They then lose like 8 of their next 12 after that and go right back to where they started. But it was solidified in everyone's mind, like Juwan Howard better than John Beilein.
Yes,
because he cried in his press conference. He won the battle for Atlantis. They end up going 19-12. They would have made the tournament. The tournament gets canceled. Like it was an okay year. Like, they salvaged the season. He had a good first year.
Yeah.
Last year, Michigan wins the most Mickey Mouse Big Ten title of all time. That's not even debatable. Even if you're a Michigan fan, you have to acknowledge, like, they lose on their home court to Illinois by 23 points without Ayo Dosunmu. They then go on to win 2 fewer games than Illinois wins in the Big Ten standings. This is something
because of COVID, they sat out for a month.
This is something 50 years from now, you'll be looking back at the 2021 Big Ten standings, and it'll make your head spin, because you'll be like, how can Illinois win 16 games and Michigan win 14 games? And the one time they played head-to-head was on Michigan's home court without Illinois' best player, and they won by 23, and Michigan was the Big Ten. This makes 0 sense. But because Juwan Howard finally won a Big Ten championship that he never won as a player, the Juwan Howard Media Mafia was like, oh my God, shoot him to the moon.
Coach of the year.
Is he the best coach in the country? This was all the talk.
He won.
This was all the talk. They lose to Ohio State. They lose Isaiah Livers. I'm going to be fair and balanced. They lose Isaiah Livers for the postseason. He does not play in the Big Ten tournament, does not play in the NCAA tournament. They lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten. Go to the Elite Eight, score 49 points against an 11 seed that doesn't even play great defense, and get bounced from the tournament. And then now we look up this year, and they're ranked 4th in the country. Was it 5th to start the season?
4th.
I don't know, man. I just want to, like, Juwan Howard does terrify me moving forward as an Ohio State fan. I genuinely think he's going to be an awesome coach. I genuinely think he's going to be problems for Ohio State and the rest of the Big Ten. And this is coming from a place of fear. I will admit that I do think they have the right guys. But the idea that Juwan Howard 2 years into the job, was better than John Beilein, was farcical from the start.
Yeah, it was
fraudulent from the start.
It was
and
offensive to John Beilein, really, is what it was. And I think if you talk to any John Beilein guy who played for Beilein, they would agree with that. So that was the whole point. It came from a place of Beilein respect, not Juwan Howard dissing. But it went too far because the media wanted to crown somebody, and Juwan Howard fit the bill. He checked the boxes. He tugged their heartstrings. And I think right now they have. I mean, if you watched this game last night, which you were at the UCLA game, they have some body language that is not, especially Hunter Dickinson, their best player. I mean, there's some plays where he just flat out, I mean, he's walking up the court, right? I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I do think they have two great freshmen in Houston and Diabate.
Yeah.
And then I think they have the guys.
Do they have two great freshmen?
I think those kids are really good.
Because my expectation of Houston was he was going to be Paolo. Good.
He's good, but like they're obviously still freshmen. You can tell they're gangly freshmen who are still figuring out how to like use their bodies in college basketball. But then you have the guys who are the older guys like Dickinson and Eli Brooks. It just seems like a disjointed team. There's the old guys and the young guys, and there's not much excitement in between. And that's the coaching that Juwan Howard's going to be tasked with, like trying to piece this team together. And that's what John Beilein has always been so good at, by convincing someone like Duncan Robinson to come off the bench. You know what I mean, for a freshman. Like he's been able to do that stuff. That's why we have so much respect for what he was able to do as a coach. And now Juwan Howard, this is the first time he has to manage that, which is why it's ridiculous and fraudulent, like you said. It's fraudulent. That's to give him that credit.
And again, and I like the guy.
And I like the guy. You know what I mean?
No, this was not meant to be an attack on Juwan Howard. It was more of a reminder.
It's an attack on the media.
Yes. It's an attack on the idea that John Beilein was not an incredible coach.
Yeah.
As great as Michigan was last year, and I don't even know how great they actually were, but they were definitely a very good basketball team. They were a very good basketball team.
You know who should hire John Beilein? Oh my God.
Michigan.
Maryland.
John Beilein.
Oh my God.
As great as Michigan was last year, John Beilein had at least 3 seasons at Michigan, maybe like 5 in his run at Michigan that were better. That were like definitively better than Juwan Howard's season last year. And you take Juwan Howard in season 2 and you take that one moment in time and you say, I can't believe Michigan upgraded, lost John Beilein and somehow upgraded. Farcical, fraudulent, number 2 on the fraud power rankings.
I love it.
Michigan will be fine though. Maybe not this year, but they'll figure it out. Of course they will. They're going to be, I don't know.
The Fab Five will figure it out. They're all back. They're all friends. Yeah.
But just
I'm excited for number 1. I thought this would be number 1. So now I don't even know.
Well, I mean, number 1 is... It's obvious where I'm going with number 1, right? You know where I'm going with number 1.
I hope I know where you're going.
I mean, we're doing ACC Big Ten Challenge talk. We got to talk about the story of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Number 1 on the fraud power rankings, Chris Holtmann.
Oh my God!
Don't say I'm not fair and balanced, Tate. Chris Holtmann, a man who leading into the Duke game was asked like ad nauseum about Coach K and said, I have nothing but respect for this man. I have, I've coached against guys I've admired before. This is certainly one of a guy I admire. On and on and on and on. And what does he do, Tate? He goes out and he ruins the Coach K farewell tour.
Bang.
How can you respect Coach K and also turn around and
ruin Coach K?
Come back from down 15 in the second half and end the game on a 24 run to beat number 1 Duke in the Schottenstein Center. How can you do that? Explain yourself, Coach.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts, but also at the same time, you love to see it. I mean, that was epic, and I still can't believe it happened. I also can't believe Coach K. Like, this is the respect that you have for the farewell tour. He's not even on the fraud power rankings. This was the week that Coach K should have led the fraud power rankings, but you have so much respect for what he did to the game that you would not put him on
the Coach K farewell tour is not fraudulent. It is. We
not the farewell tour. The man.
The man might be a fraud. The man's fraud. Where's the integrity meter?
The man might be a fraud.
Let's see that. There's the integrity meter.
There he is. Look at him. Where's Josh Pastner? There he is.
Go. Yeah, the man. But the farewell tour is very much not fraudulent. And for Chris Holtmann to step in, because like you pointed out that Duke's not going to get back to number 1. The stars are aligned for Duke to
own this,
to own it all year, be number 1 all year, maybe run the table. I don't know, probably not. But like, there's a chance that we look up on February 1st and Duke is still undefeated, and we're like, oh my God, is it happening? It might be happening. Duke might be going undefeated, and whether they do or don't, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's that they might.
It's that they might.
And that has our attention. And all of that is gone because of Chris Holtmann Fraudulent.
But I love him. God, I love him. You know, and the best part about it is he's going to see this and be like, I just
What did I
beat
do? Yeah, he's gonna be like, what did I do? He's going to call me and be like, Mark, what the hell, dude?
Mark, what happened? So why am I fraud? You're like, Coach. Because you said that
Simple.
you love Coach K.
It's simple, Coach.
Said you love Coach K, and this is what you do.
What don't you understand? We have content to churn out as a show, and now you beat Coach K.
Yeah.
We won the battle. Like, it gave us a good talking, we had a fun show laughing at Coach K last show. But we may have lost the war with the Coach K farewell tour now. And there's one man to blame, and it's Chris Holtmann and Zed Key. And EJ Liddell.
Yeah.
And EJ Liddell. And Cedric Russell.
Jim was calling for a travel.
He did travel. I mean, he did. Like, in the interest of fairness.
Yeah, Jim shaking his head. He's agreeing.
Probably did travel. So there you go. There's the fraud power rankings. Shout-outs, closeouts?
Yeah, let's do some shout-outs and closeouts.
What else?
Can we, Jim, did you look up the Donda stuff for us? Can we just get a quick shout-out to Donda Academy for the content?
Yes.
Of course. I live for Donda
We need
Academy basketball.
We need to make this a segment like the war on college basketball update with Donda and G League Ignite.
What I really want is
Overtime league.
Jim to say he wore all of his Donda gear to the show, and it's just him in all black with no logos.
Little Jim to little update.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. So Donda, what's happening?
Okay, so Donda went 1-1 over the weekend in the Hoopsgiving tournament, Holiday Hoopsgiving in Atlanta. They're now 3-3.
Okay,
They're not good.
500 team. Okay.
Yeah.
Does Kanye coach them?
No, he goes to the games though.
Yeah.
He's at the games, which is great.
Their star player, Robert
Dillingham,
committed to NC State
yes,
yesterday. Yeah. Tate knows
bad
about
guy.
it. Their other star guard, Zion Cruz, which is an awesome name.
Yeah.
Name starts with a Z, ends with a Z.
That's
Rare.
true. Good point.
That is rare.
Had 25 points on Saturday night in front of Rod Strickland,
Rod the God,
Penny Hardaway,
love it.
Kanye West,
Yes, this is
Quado or Quavo.
Quavo.
Quado is the guy from Total Recall with like the baby in his stomach. Yeah. Also, Kanye got Quavo and Justin LeBoy to squash their beef on the sideline of that game over Saweetie's appearance on Respectfully podcast hosted by Justin LeBoy. I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
And one other person was there.
Who?
Tom Crean. He was also there.
No way.
At the game, not on the podcast.
Imagine our two guests today are Saweetie and Tom Crean.
Oh, and Donda plays in the Bronx December 27th. I might go if I'm home.
Who they playing against?
I think like Patterson, New Jersey or something.
Who's scheduling these games? That's the best part.
I can't figure out like what their mascot is either. I couldn't find the name for it. Oh yeah, I was thinking like the Dragons, like the Imagine Dragons, imaginary, because they're like an imaginary school.
Yeah, well they have
the Magic
they have
Dragon.
nothing written on their jerseys. It is literally all black. It's just like the
You
mock-up.
can't even see their numbers.
You can't even see the numbers.
Some players are wearing pants, dude. Timberlands.
Oh god, it's so good.
We need the updates throughout the year. This is fun.
They played a team on Saturday night called the Skill Factory.
Dude, honestly, what is AAU basketball other than comedy? I just love that Kanye.
They also play Dream City Christian.
He was like, I gotta get in on this. Like, this is worth my time.
Yeah, dude.
Like, how did he? How
You
did
got like $1 billion or however much money he has, and he's
no? That's how much money
do
these
anything you
AAU
want in the
programs
world.
must be making, because he's like, it's worth mine. He's like, this is an investment. Like, I gotta create an academy.
You think Pete Davidson's going to go one of these games?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Pete Davidson starts his own team.
We got to go to the school. The school's in Simi Valley. We just need to figure out what the address is. No, so we can see the fake ad. Like, we have to go to where it's located.
Do they play?
Like trying to mail
play games here? Like,
Yeah.
do they have a gym that
I think
play in and
they
stuff?
play games at Staples Center. That's their home gym.
No, they haven't played a game here yet.
Because we got to maybe get boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And us three go to a Donda game.
Their
and
next
report back.
Their next
Get
three
Kyle to
games.
come with us.
Their
Yeah,
next three
it'd be
games
fun.
are at the Tarkanian Classic. So that's good.
Where's
Sorry,
that?
I'm guessing Vegas.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
gotta
know.
be Vegas.
Long Beach, maybe.
Yeah.
But I just
Shout
feel
out to
like
Jerry Tarkanian.
I just feel like that's a nice little fit.
Wink, wink.
Donda
So
Academy.
good, dude.
It's like what the hell.
So good. I love it. God bless you, Kanye, for giving us content.
Thank you, Kanye.
I might go to
honestly
the game
beating
though
Drake.
in December. I might go if I'm home.
You should.
In the
You
Bronx.
should.
I know.
That
December
would be
27th.
amazing.
Please go. Please go.
Give us all the.
I can't wait till Jim calls us. He's like, I'm at the game. Fat Joe's here.
Quavo.
Remy May.
Rod Strickland
Donda.
will probably be there again.
Oh,
What,
man.
He's from the Bronx.
Dude, Rod the God. When we talk about, I was talking about point guards earlier. Most disrespected point guard maybe in the history of basketball. Rod Strickland. In fact, I'll go as far as to say everything that people say about Kyrie Irving, like they're like, this guy is like an alien, you know, Rod Strickland did it first. I'm telling you, you watch the highlights. I didn't really know until I knew. I watched the highlights because he was never an All-Star. Jim knows.
Is that serious? He was
Never
an
an
All-Star?
NBA
Former Nick.
All-Star.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of
I
haters.
didn't know that.
You got that shout out in the Wu-Tang song.
Yeah,
Make him jump like Rod Strickland.
Yeah, I mean, Rod Strickland's awesome. Shout out Rod
Fun
Strickland.
times.
Anything else you guys want?
No, that was
Back
great.
on there?
That was great. That was
Oh,
worth
I
it.
wanted to shout out Solomon Bozeman, the head coach of Arkansas Pine Bluff, who made his team run sprints. Did you see that?
No.
He called timeout, and as they're huddled up for the timeout, he gets the guys to run a down and back in the middle of a game.
I love it.
Hilarious, right?
No, I love it. that to me feels like
Where's that on the integrity meter?
Well, you know, like the real test of a coach is like, can I coach my best player? And it's like, if you can get your best player to run sprints, like, you know what I mean? Like you're a good
But during
coach.
a game?
No, you're a good coach. Like if your player's like, I mean, my high school coach, if he was like, we're running sprints, I'd be like, I guess we're running sprints. You know what I mean? I'm terrified to do anything else. I like that.
My sprint experience is not great. I
What,
wasn't
sprinting?
a great sprint. I wasn't a great.
Yeah.
This might surprise you, but Fat Mark did not love conditioning.
Well, dude, in soccer we had to run with parachutes.
What?
Yeah, we put parachutes on, strap parachutes, and run 120 yards with a parachute behind you.
No.
There's like some of the freshmen, they like fly away, like as they're running.
I was very much a Kenny Powers type. That
Yeah.
I was not trying to exercise at all. I did not lift.
Yeah,
I know this is shocking that my basketball career turned out to be what it was.
yeah.
But yeah, I was like, let's play ball, man. I'm not here to
Yeah.
run sprints or lift weights.
I
or
made
do
that
any of this
mistake
bullshit.
once I became an upperclassman. I thought that I didn't have to do anything. I was
Yeah.
like, it'll be fine. And I went the first day of practice. I'm just like vomiting everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right.
I got this is probably why our teams in high school weren't very good. Is because like I was quote unquote the best player, and I was leading by example, and my example was getting last in every sprint and
Yeah.
and crying the whole time.
Leader.
This is stupid.
Leader of men.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
But our coach, in my defense, our coach used to do the deal where it's like you run it till you get it, and my fat ass couldn't get sprints. Like we do like the 16s or whatever, and I don't know, I wouldn't make the time. Like me and like 4 other people wouldn't make the time, and they'd be like, "Run it again. We're gonna be here till you get it." And I was like, "If we didn't get it the first or second time, what makes you think we're gonna get it the 34th time?"
It's a very miracle, like Herb Brooks, like mentality.
How am I gonna get it when I'm
Again.
more tired? Yeah,
Again.
yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Ugh. All right, that might be it. Brad Davison dove into the Georgia Tech crowd and spilled beer everywhere.
Jesus
that was cool.
Christ.
Shout out to him for that.
Can we eject him from college
No,
basketball?
dude.
I'm done.
Are you being serious?
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
like
done.
Brad?
Why would I like Brad? He ruined.
Brad, Jim, you met Brad.
He's the best.
Oh my god,
Great
you guys
dude.
would.
Showed us a great time.
young
I'm
Young
sure
Coach
he's
K.
he's a great guy personally, but can we shoot him to the
Dude,
moon?
be careful what you wish for, because the moment he gets done playing,
Great.
he's coaching.
Oh god.
And
Or he's
going
on the Hornets.
or he's on the Hornets.
No, he's on the Pacers now. Sit in the Pacers. We're too good. We got LaMelo.
Brad Davison, new coach of the Donda Academy. Make that happen.
No, he's gonna hurt LaMelo in practice, hustling
my
too hard.
God.
Yep.
Oh my god. Hustling too hard.
All right, that's it.
That's all I got.
Have a great
yeah.
weekend, everybody. We will see you next week.
Yep.